You had it, Bruce.
No, but then...
God damn it. You're the most difficult guest we've ever had on.
Sure.
It's the only guest we've ever had on.
You're the test subject.
Yeah. Be prepared for...
for high-class hilarity.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just want to make sure you put that
Yeah,
up.
you got it. You got it.
Okay, there we go.
And you want mine right here in my head right here?
Yeah, I just would like it like
Right up there in the middle of the...
Yeah, right, just a block.
We're right there, yeah.
Hello and welcome to 8-Bit Dad. I am Brian Ferguson.
And I'm Zach Rosenberg. 8-Bit Dad is the modern parent source for real fatherly opinions. And in this show, we talk about some of the top stories of the week from 8bitdad.com.
That's right, we are the founding fathers of 8-Bit Dad. And we like to share parenthood news from across the internet. We also tackle important issues within the fatherhood community. And we feature exclusive interviews you won't find anywhere else. And we even blog about our own personal stories of triumph and sadness.
And if you have a story that you'd like to see make it to our site and or our show, please feel free to email us, and that's dads@8bitdad.com. And if you'd like to write for our website, join our little community of fathers, you can do so at contribute@8bitdad.com.
Yes, and... oh, wait, no. You can follow us on Twitter, which is twitter.com/8bitdads, and be sure to like us on Facebook, which is facebook.com/8bitdad. You can also repin our shit on Pinterest, which is pinterest.com/8bitdad.
You can join us on Google Plus, which is gplus.to/8bitdad.
Yes. Now that we got that shit out of the way, who the fuck is this guy? I'm just kidding.
And what the heck is 8-Bit Dad? It's 8 with the number, by the way.
Yes.
I think that's an important distinction.
Yeah, not 8 like A-T-E, but, you know.
Right, exactly.
I have actually had a lot of people ask me that.
If we were a food website?
Yeah, if we were if we were just a healthy food website. We have a special guest today. We have Bruce Sallan, the legendary Bruce Sallan from the hashtag Dad Chat on our show today. And welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right. He's in the area.
I didn't dress properly, obviously. Zach, I'm sorry.
Does not have a
I
robe.
left my robe. I have a Spider-Man robe. That's the one I really should have brought. Because I used to work with Marvel, and
You're
they
letting
gave
us
us
down
they
already.
gave us bathrobes with Spider-Man on the back, and it's like 15 years old, and I still have it kind of.
I would wear that thing until it was shreds.
Yeah. But the better thing we actually got was an amazing baseball-style jacket.
Oh yeah,
That had an incredible embroidered Spider-Man on the back, with the web came over the shoulder, and then circled around the insignia Marvel with your name over here.
You're just making me jealous right
I
now.
know.
Well, we could make a trade. I have an extra one of those jackets if you can give me enough of that Elvis stuff.
Okay.
I say
we'll
take
talk
it.
after the show. So why don't you tell our viewers a little bit about what you do and how you do it?
Okay. Well, my name is Bruce Sallan. You can find me at brucesallan.com or at Bruce Sallan on Twitter. Unlike these younger, more on top of it dudes next to me on either side of me that do Google Plus and Pinterest and all these other things, I'm a little lame. And I don't do Google Plus yet. Though I had Guy Kawasaki, who wrote the book, What the Plus, on Dad Chat this past Thursday.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
And it really was awesome. We had 81.1 million impressions.
I know. I saw that. I was like,
It's an astonishing number.
That's a couple more than we get.
Yeah?
So
It may, in fact, be, it's certainly a Dad Chat record, but it may be the biggest number of impressions for 1 hour for any tweet chat.
That's pretty cool.
I would suspect. There's one other chat that does real well called Food Chat.
Dun, dun,
and they did or Foodie Chat, and they did a 2 hour that got like 160 million impressions.
well, let's take them out.
I was a little upset because I was hoping for 100 million, and if Guy had done about 10 or 15 more tweets, we would have hit 100 million.
Have you seen how many daily tweets that guy does? It's
how many
insane.
is it? Is it really?
It's insane how many he does per day.
let's see what he's up to right now.
Well, he's got
He's got all
just
sorts of
shy
stuff.
of 1 million followers.
Yeah.
So the 81.1 million impressions I got were 2/3 just his tweets. So we had 445 participants from around the world. This was last Thursday, May 17th. And the transcript is up on brucesallan.com.
He's got 105,000 tweets.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And he had 907,000 followers 4 days ago. He's got 911,000 now. So he's obviously going to cross 1 million. So anyway, I host Dad Chat every Thursday evening from 6 to 7 p.m. Pacific time. That's 9 p.m. East Coast time. And people from across the world, moms and dads, participate. I'm always asked, are moms allowed? And it wouldn't quite be the same without moms.
Yeah. Exactly.
And so Dad Chat, I think, is the biggest parenting chat on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
We average 10 plus million impressions a week. We have 100 to 150 people that join us each week, literally from every time zone in the world. There's Michael Todd comes from Japan, and I have a regular from England. And this past one, somebody joined us from Taiwan. It's just phenomenal because these chats are live, just like the show is currently live, and Twitter is live. So when people join Dad Chat, and we're on 6 to 7 p.m. Los Angeles time, if you're in England, you're talking about it being 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
If you're further east, it's literally 6, 7, 8 in the morning. So Michael Todd, who's a very big social media dude, MQ Todd, love the guy. He lives in Japan, so he's having his coffee, his breakfast coffee. I'm having my evening wine or beer. He's having his breakfast coffee when we do Dad Chat. So it's pretty cool.
I have my morning beer, actually.
You have your morning beer and you have your morning coffee?
Yep.
I'm a coffee addict.
Coffee.
There's no question about it. I also do a radio show called The Bruce Sallan Show, A Dad's Point of View. A Dad's Point of View is the name of my column, which is syndicated worldwide in about 100 different papers and websites. I host Dad Chat. I have a comic strip called Because I Said So, which I really enjoy. It's about a dad that is not me. I don't care what you say. A lot of people get very confused and think this dad has some resemblance to me.
It kind of looks like you, actually.
No. It is not me. And if you put up any image and any declaration that it's me, I will walk out immediately. The reality that people thought that the dad character, and Because I Said So was me, did motivate me to start a vlog called I'm Not That Dad. Because I got tired of saying how much I'm not that dad. So I now do a weekly vlog called I'm Not That Dad. And it comes up every Wednesday. And I speak at conferences, and I wrote a book. So I like to think of myself as the most versatile parent blogger out there and working in all forms of media. I really enjoy it. And now I've joined the Dad podcast that of all time. So 8-Bit Dads. So I think I've now completed my resume. I mean, thank you guys. Otherwise, my life and bucket list would never, ever have been complete.
Well,
This is why we're here. So
I'm really, really grateful. The helicopter ski trip I just did doesn't even come close to sitting next to you in that robe. And the smell of that coffee is just truly making my day. A hazelnut flavored coffee. Who does flavored coffee? Okay, obviously your wife is buying the coffee.
I'm not buying the coffee.
Okay, I mean that is pathetic.
Not home.
I ask for coffee
day.
and I get flavored coffee. What man does flavored coffee? Okay, excuse me.
I'm choking it down right now, actually.
I'm actually kind of into the femme coffee.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Okay, I'll admit it. I like chick flicks, so we all have our feminist side.
He does have the pink robe
and the pink laptop. So.
Yeah, that is pretty pathetic. I will acknowledge. So that's who I am, and I'm glad to be here. And I'll turn it over to the hosts and just try to interrupt and disrupt as much as I can.
All right, Zach. So it's
awesome.
weird you being all the way over there.
I know we're used to being like thigh touching distance.
Well, you were actually on Dad Labs this last week.
Yeah. I got to sit in on Dad Labs.
We're kind of doing the guest.
We're doing it.
We're doing the guest.
What is Dad Labs?
Dad Labs is another fatherhood video podcast.
Oh, cool.
They it's usually Daddy Clay and Daddy Brad. Although this week Brad was out and someone else was in, one of the co-founders of the Dad 2.0 Summit.
Yeah, and you accidentally...
I didn't call him by the right name. So,
what'd you call him, Clay?
I called him Doug.
Oh, you called him
Doug French.
Oh, yeah, well, that's one of the founders.
Evidently was the other founder that was on the show. So that's what I get.
Well, I'm sure Doug appreciated it.
So, yeah, I looked great until the last second.
You got one of them on your side. The other one is forever going to be gunning for you.
We're clearly never going to be at the Dad 2.0 Summit. Nope. That just cemented our uninvitation from it. So
what happened?
But it was it was a good show. It's I always it's good to be recognized and good to have them say we had a good story that was thought-provoking. And
Yeah, you were talking about the what story was that?
the Circle of Moms predator story, where they assumed that every father that's talking to kids in public is a child.
Yeah.
predator.
Have you ever had that experience, Bruce? Like, I mean, with your kids growing up, like, did that ever happen where you would sort of, what was the exact scenario, Zach?
Well, this lady was like in a local cafe type restaurant, and she heard a man talking louder than the rest of the crowd, that's how you pick out a predator, is the one that's talking so loud that you can't miss him. And he was in the corner of the room, and he was talking to a group of kids.
Well, facial hair is another indicator of a predator.
Yeah.
And weight. That's what I always guess. Mm-hmm. Big guy with facial hair. You're looking down.
And pink robes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
no, continue. Seriously,
I wouldn't blame anyone for that one.
this.
But so this lady had she looked at this guy, and he was talking to some kids and asking them about school and what their favorite subject was, and she immediately thought, this guy needs to be watched. He's grooming them for a kidnapping. Like, he's trying to get familiar with them, and then he's just going to walk out the door with them. And so she whipped herself into a frenzy, and then when her name came up to get her food, she leaned into the lady across the counter and said, I want you to watch that man back there. He's, those kids don't appear to be with their parents, and that man's going to walk off with them. So she went out to her car, and her husband was like, you seem a little ruffled right now. Do you need to go back in there? She's like, of course I do. So she went back in, and the guy was gone, but the kids were still there. And
what a surprise.
Yeah, and the kids basically...
How old were these kids?
I forget what she said in the story, but it was something like... I think she said something like 3rd, 4th grade.
Oh, okay. So they were younger.
Yeah, they were younger. But she had gone up to the kids at one point to try to make the guy feel uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And she walked up and she's like, where are your parents? And the kids basically told her just to screw off. So, it's like...
they could pick up on the fact that... it's interesting because I like to engage with... anybody and everybody, wherever I go. It embarrasses the heck out of my boys, one in particular. But I do it because I really enjoy it. And I'm curious. And especially as a dad blogger or writer in general, I learn something. But the whole notion, my response to that story is it goes along with the whole thing of don't talk to strangers.
Stranger danger.
Which is complete bullcrap.
Yeah.
Because if your kids don't talk to strangers, what do they do when they get lost at Disneyland?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, what do they do if they're somewhere and they get hurt? Yeah. Okay, you go up and you try to find a policeman.
Sleep in a ditch and die.
Okay, if you're afraid of every stranger, the point is to teach your kids which strangers to be afraid of.
Yeah.
If you're walking alone and some guy pulls up in a car and rolls down the window and says, hey, little girl, your dad called and it wants me to take you home, mm-hmm. That's the example that you avoid. Yeah. But in Starbucks or wherever this was happening, publicly, where this guy is just talking to the kids, they may enjoy it.
And talking above the crowd. I mean, he was talking louder than... It wasn't like he leaned in and was, whispering secrets.
Right. He was clearly not conspiratorial.
He was drawing attention to himself.
I think that's one of those urban myths that's all wrong, or wives' tales that don't talk to strangers. Don't talk to certain strangers. Mm-hmm. But in other ways, and certainly in dangerous situations where a kid might be in trouble, looking for a stranger that might be of help is a good thing.
Yeah, exactly. And one of my big points was that kind of thinking is really destroying communities.
Especially neighborhoods,
Yeah, it's like, I don't know my next door neighbor's name because, of that idea of let's not talk to strangers, let's not get involved in their lives. Whatever happened to the communities where you relied on your community and you relied on your neighbors and, everyone was intimately linked into each other because when the, a nuclear bomb was going to hit, everyone had to, pretend to be a community and save themselves.
Well, so I could stay in your shelter.
Yeah, exactly. And now that sort of community is gone, it's like the whole not on my lawn type, keep your people off my lawn and I'll stay off yours. And it's like we just need to get away from that.
The whole concept of community is also changing for our kids because of the way they interact, because of social media, because of Twitter, because of texting. They say that I think it's every 4 or 5 years is in essence a generational change in how young people communicate and interact. And I've noticed it just between my two boys, who are 3 years apart. Mm-hmm. One is 18, one is 15. The 18-year-old actually talks on his cell phone. Mm-hmm. The 15-year-old pretty much only texts on his cell phone. The 18-year-old actually meets his friends. The 15-year-old pretty much doesn't.
It's on Facebook all the time.
Facebook or texting. He does more now that he's gotten a little bit older. He's actually seeing them outside of just school.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to be funny. It concerned us a lot. Does he have friends?
Yeah.
And the way in which they have friends is so different than the way we did. I mean, when I got home, I didn't get home from school. At the end of school, when I was 12, 13, 14, 15, I had a bike. And I would go ride all over the city, visit my friends.
Oh, yeah.
The only thing my mother cared about was that I was home before dark and that I had a dime in my pocket in case I got in trouble and needed to call.
Yeah.
So
the payphones, remember those?
Payphones, exactly.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Can you imagine a parent? They'd be put up on charges if they didn't know where their child was every minute after school, if they allowed the child just to take a bike and go wander and explore. Well, those exploration things were great for me. I went into Hollywood back in the old days, and I'd go explore the old bookstores and record stores, and I was a comic book fanatic, so I'd go find old comic books. I rode my bike downtown and went to the old the old bookstores, and I'd browse around and find really cool old comic books and stuff. That was fun.
Yeah.
Do kids
I
get to
remember doing that
explore?
too.
Do they get to explore at all? Do they get to go to a park?
No.
I mean, the three of us live in an area where there's a lot of rivers. And, they're not allowed to go to a park alone.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a gal who runs a website called, Free Range Parenting. Her name's Lenore Skenazy. And she's real big on the idea of, she got a lot of shit a couple of years ago because she let, her 9-year-old take the New York subway home or something. And she's like, what do you mean? This is what this stuff is built for. Right.
Free range kids.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's
you
called.
You teach your kids to, be responsible, be out there, you put trust in your kids, you make them grow up. And let them go, and let them play in your yard. Let them play in the street. Let them ride their bike. Let them take the subway.
Let's look at a playground. All the things that I played on when I was a kid are no longer allowed. Mm-hmm. Seesaws, monkey bars, all the rings where you'd swing from ring to ring, everything. Trampolines. I mean, God forbid a family has a trampoline. If it doesn't have one of those protective things, forget it.
And the handles.
So the kids are so coddled and protected that they don't actually get to learn from certain life experience because, ironically, we all learn more from failure. We all learn more from getting in a hole and digging ourselves out of it. And if we protect our kids from everything, it's why, I was speaking with you guys before the show, 85% of college grads are returning home. How many of our high school kids are really able to
fail safely?
Yeah.
I think that's the most important part, especially for my 20-month-old daughter. We don't try to catch her every time she falls. We let her fall, and just if anything is seriously wrong, we just comfort her and just make sure that she's okay, that she knows that it's not the end of the world. You can still go and fall again. It's just that innate ability to give your child that freedom to fail.
Well, and the resources to know that they can get up again and try it.
Exactly.
Yep. A further extension of this, again, that makes me nuts is the whole self-esteem movement, which of course originated where we live in California. The idea that you don't keep score in certain low-level, what do you call it? The baseball, Little League things, the early Little League, or the soccer, or the football. They don't keep score, or if it gets above a certain score, they just stop keeping score.
Mercy rule, yeah.
And then at the end of every season, every single kid gets an award, gets a trophy. It's in elementary school, in primary school, they have assemblies in which every single kid in every class gets an award for something. So consequently, real excellence is not taught to the kids, and then they get out in the real world, they can't get a job, they don't get a raise, and all of a sudden they're, well, what do you mean? I'm great. America has, I think, is number 23 among the 40-some industrial countries as far as the ranking of our education system, but number 1 in self-esteem.
I think
that's, by the way, true. That's a true fact.
That goes along, with George Carlin's thing about the pussification of America, on how they wanted to change the name from Shell Shock to, something like post-traumatic stress disorder.
Well, that's all political correctness. It's a bunch of political
and that's where
bullshit.
it comes from. It stems from the top, and it just makes its way down, so no one gets offended, and that everyone is treated equally.
Did you hear about the New York school system that had recently they had submitted their bid for words that are no longer allowed on
I love that.
on the standardized tests, and it was like not just stuff like dinosaurs and dancing and weird things like aliens, but also they no longer wanted people to talk about swimming pools because not every kid has one.
We wouldn't want somebody to feel bad that they don't have
vacations, and there were all sorts of the computers. You couldn't talk about computers because every kid doesn't have one, even though in the schools themselves they have computer labs. So it's like we're really just trying to get this like narrow like view to like a much wider view of like, before it was like you brought your own personality to this communal space of school. Now it's like they're trying to just widen it up so much that there's no self inside of it.
Well, it's crazy because if you think about it, it's like trying to make everyone drive the same speed on the freeway. And if you have everyone driving the same speed of the freeway, it just becomes boring. It becomes monotonous. There's no diversity out there, and it's basically regulating what people can and can't do.
Hey, yeah, it's as if everyone had to drive the same speed and in the same color car.
Yeah,
you can't have another color car because someone else is going to get jealous that that they have white and you've got red.
Well, the whole concept of diversity
has
actually
careful light step it
has actually created
Go for the body.
Has actually created the opposite effect.
Yeah, exactly.
Real diversity means diversity of thought, and diversity of thought is not allowed at that school system that you just described. Is definitely not allowed, or in much of any form on our college campuses.
Yeah.
The idea that certain language is forbidden. And you get shouted down if you don't spout the company line or the party line, literally party being the right thing, because it is almost like the Communist Party in a dictatorial society that allows only one
Can we say that?
Should
we bleep that? I'm just kidding.
So it's very scary.
Yeah.
I think the whole concept of political correctness, especially in college, where really at that age is when they should be exploring diverse ways of thinking. Now, the other irony of college is they now have dorms that are all one ethnic group, so that instead of the diversity, they've created, if anything, more segregation. So the so-called open thinking, in many ways, is creating more segregated thinking.
I was in the gay Jew dorm in UC Santa Cruz.
Really? Very
like literally, it was literally, you can look it up on the internet. It was UC Santa Cruz, Oaks College, the Bayet Wiesel dorm. It's the gay, lesbian, Jewish, transgendered, something else.
Well,
dorm.
Shall we talk about the California law that is now insisting that that whole community be represented in all our textbooks? Going back to, you didn't know which founding father was transgender, did you? But we now have to find out who is and who wasn't.
I think Jefferson.
Totally Jefferson.
Yeah, Washington, I don't know, the white hair.
Yeah.
But
the wig.
Those wigs, some costumes. But the idea that we have to intrude and basically put in a politically correct way of thinking rather than the truth. Isn't really history supposed to be about the truth?
Well, and it's like rewriting the whole Huck Finn, taking out the N-word, and it's like whatever. I'm not gonna go there, but still.
Yeah, I mean, there's a tough trajectory that we're going down as a culture right now, and
God forbid we take away those crows in the Disney movies that were like, yes, massa.
Well, step and fetch it in the old black and white movies. What was the great radio show that has been banned pretty much? That was a classic radio show, Amos and Andy.
Oh, yeah.
That has been basically banned because of its considered a racial stereotype and a negative portrayal at the time.
Now, would you think this is evolution or de-evolution in human society? Do you think this is like so like Obama announced that he's, his evolution of thought gave way to this, acceptance of gay marriage. Do you think that this evolution of language.
You don't think it was politically expedient at all?
No,
to
no.
choose to do that. You know,
It
6
was
months
just
before
in
the
an election season. Yeah,
that's
It's an election year.
It's just a total coincidence, isn't it? I'm sure it is.
But for the evolution of the actual language of what we use, like what we're talking about, do you think that's evolution, or do you think that's like a? Do you think we're going the wrong direction?
Well, I think it's actually revolution. Whenever there's a revolution, there tends to be a swing of the pendulum that is too much. So when the feminist movement began in the 60s and 70s, that was the time at which a stay-at-home mom was disparaged horribly across her circle of other women. We finally come to the point where women are allowed to work or stay at home with relatively equal acceptance in the feminist and the female communities. So that's part of the revolution. When you take a revolution, at one point you go too far. So we have a whole generation of women, for instance, that are my generation, that grew up in the 60s and 70s, who put off marrying, put off having children because they wanted to pursue a career. And then all of a sudden they wake up, they're 43 years old, they're unmarried, and they're past their baby-bearing years, and they realize they were sold a bill of goods. So that generation got totally screwed, as far as I'm concerned. And your generation and the current generation of women are actually getting a little more equality. The irony of what we all do on this couch is we're trying to bring the same sort of equality to dads, and we're probably at the same place those women, those stay-at-home moms were 20, 30 years ago, as far as societal acceptance to our participation in parenting. So that's also part of the revolution. So I think as far as the language and the college campuses, we're way out of whack. So it's a revolution way too far that I hope will swing back to the center, which is, yes, we should have equality, but it should also be based on merit, excellence, and not everybody should make the same amount of money. Not everybody's going to be Kobe Bryant and be a star. I mean, in real life, it just doesn't work that way.
I'm going to be Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, when you grow up.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yes. But yeah, so
I think that actually might link into the first story.
Yeah, let's do it.
Which let's go. Which is the bad Dadvertising, Oscar Mayer and McGarryBowen. And if you had caught the story on our site, then you don't need to listen. So go like this for a couple minutes.
I missed it. I want to hear it. I love how you're on top of this stuff, Zach. Seriously.
If you are like Bruce and the rest of America and don't read our website, then just kidding.
I read it once in a while.
Yeah.
You know, when you send me a reminder
and
pay me.
When we mention you and
he's a busy guy.
Specifically put it on your so Oscar Mayer, first name that you think of in the meat industry, most people. And they have, you would think that these guys want to woo men and fathers because we're kind of in their wheelhouse of customers. We're like the guys who are celebrating hot dogs and celebrating bacon, and we're that audience. So
we're in charge of the grill, after all.
Most of the time, yes. And
do you know that bacon has like over 1 million likes on Facebook? Did you know that?
Did you know that the bacon at Subway is actually not beef? Or pork. It's like it's a beef-based bacon. Is what it is.
Did you know that my last dad chat somehow there got to be a side talk about bacon?
Oh yeah, because of Guy Kawasaki's bacon.alltop.com.
Yeah.
I remember.
When do you not talk about bacon? I mean, that's our right as men.
That's a men.
And so you would think, with that sort of rich dialogue going on in the male industry, that a company that sells bacon would want to appeal to men and fathers. So McGarryBowen, who is an ad agency, multinational, they had done an ad campaign. They've done ad campaigns for Oscar Mayer for years. One of them that they did a couple years back was called Power Outage or something, where a dad comes home from work, all his family's not paying attention to him, so he cuts the power in the house, goes out back and starts grilling hot dogs. Good commercial. Even when the kid finds out, and looks across the street and says, "Why are the Johnson's house lights on?"
Made with 100% pure beef.
Who knows? Enjoy your hot dog.
Yeah.
Good commercial. So McGarryBowen came out with these 3 new commercials, and they are fucking terrible.
How do you really feel, Zach?
That is it.
But
they really roast the father in these commercials.
He looks like a John C. Reilly type of dude. That's not John C. Reilly.
No, it's Ben something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I saw they had talked about it on YouTube.
But they're going after that whole,
the dumb father.
Not dumb, but they're trying to mimic Modern Family. The Ty Burley I forgot his last name.
I mean, the sensitive dad?
No. The guy that's
He's the realtor dad on Modern Family?
the
one in the straight couple, right?
Yeah.
Not Ed, whatever.
Ed O'Neill.
It's nice to finally say
Yeah.
yes. New
Yeah, the younger
Hydrox
straight
hot
dad.
dogs made with 100%
Phil
beef
Dunphy.
and no artificial
Right.
preservatives. It's yes.
Yeah, and it's like they're going after that idea. The wife, basically, in all of these commercials, is the no man, not the yes man, but the no man. She sees something going on in the family and says nope, and it's like an automatic no for everything.
Yeah, she's like the default buzz.
Now, some of these things, I mean, that would be normal or whatever. Who would care? But the problem is that the father is making these just ridiculous decisions. So he already looks like an idiot. Then the mother's shutting him down. So the mom looks like a buzzkill. The dad looks like an idiot. The kids are even, it's like the father is on the same level as the kids. And so
And I now remember
what
the
you
commercials.
what you get is you get this idea that the father's in line with the kids. The mother's just in charge of buying all the food, preparing all the food, in charge of the kids' nutrition. I mean, in the crowning moment of one of the commercials, the daughter walks into the kitchen while the father is unloading groceries, and she said, "Did Mom say we could eat all that?" And the dad's like, "Yes," as he points to the no artificial preservatives logo. Like, come on. Like, there's enough fathers on the Food Network that we know dads
the best chefs in the world are men.
Fathers cook.
No, the best chefs in the world are men. Let's
And,
get real.
we mentioned that in one of the parts.
I pinged Ned Holstein from Fathers and Families because I wanted to make sure I wasn't crazy. And I said, Ned,
Ned,
tell me that these are bad commercials, and he said yes. In short, he said
they're actually surprising because I'm starting to see a shift from Madison Avenue, and to me that just seems like they're not paying attention. They're not even doing their job.
Definitely a backpedaling. I mean,
Yeah.
you would think with the shit that Huggies just went through from all of us. I mean,
Yeah.
you included. You were at Dad 2.0 Summit where Huggies
right.
got on a plane and flew down and stood in front of you guys and said, "We're sorry." They called us on that Saturday, the same day as the Dad 2.0 Summit, since we didn't go. And they called us and apologized, and they made good with it. It was on every single advertising website out there. You would think these guys at McGarryBowen would have read some of that and said, maybe we shouldn't go after fathers right now because it's a sore subject.
There's also been a handful of great commercials that should be more the models that they look at.
Mm-hmm.
I was so heartened to see the Volkswagen commercial.
The Volkswagen commercial. Volkswagen's really good with fathers.
Yeah.
Their last 4 or 5 commercials have been very father friendly.
And then the one for Clorox with the dads talking in the playground. I thought was a darn good one. Too.
I actually didn't like that because they weren't listening to their kids.
Well, to me that gave them equality in parenting. They could be, but they were caring parents.
They were there, but
they were there.
They had the kids on them,
right? And they were talking about minivans.
Yeah.
Is that what they smelled the kids?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought that I think you're maybe a little too sensitive there.
And I am.
Yeah.
I am. Definitely.
But since you have that kind of radar,
yeah. I got my feelers out for that sort of stuff.
But the Volkswagen one to me was just spot on.
Yeah.
It was just spot on.
And they've been, like I said, they've been doing it. Their Super Bowl commercial from not this last year, but the year before was the
Darth
Vader kid.
Oh yeah.
And Dad comes home and saves the day because Dad gets out of the car and the kid waves him off and then stands in front of the car. The dad stands in the kitchen with the mom and says, "Watch this," and makes the car chirp or whatever.
After he does a special thing.
So the kid, the kid thinks he's using the Force.
Describe the new one, just so that people know what we're talking about if they haven't seen it.
The Is It Fast commercial?
Yeah.
That one? Yeah. This basically, it shows a kid at different stages of his life. And
that was a good one.
He's looking at a Vespa or something, and he asks, "Is it
safe?
fast?" And the guy's like, "Oh, yeah, of course it's fast." And then you see him looking at a Corvette. And he asks the guy in the lot, "Is it fast?" And the guy's like, "I don't even think it's street legal." And then it shows him as a father, you see a Volkswagen, and he gets up from looking in the window, and he's got a kid strapped on his chest, and he asks, "Is it safe?" The guy's like, "Oh yeah, it's top IIHS safety pick, blah 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 blah." So
I
it's
actually
it shows
got
you
a
that.
warm fuzzy feeling when I saw that the first time. I have to admit, I
liked it
probably
too.
would have wanted to put on that robe after I saw it if I'd had it. No, I'm very serious. I was yes.
It really was. I mean, it really was a triumph. And I tried to get in touch with those guys.
You know what else is kind of warm and
call me
fuzzy?
back.
We're going to go trade in her Jetta for a Passat today.
Oh, yeah?
I think. I don't know. So we're going to go to Volkswagen. So there's another.
So they've
Volkswagen
won
plug.
it's succeeded.
It's done.
I mean, it's a good car anyway, as we well know. But you appreciate what they're doing.
Yeah, you boycott brands, like just like what Zach said in this article. What do you do for what's your goal? Fathers don't buy Oscar Mayer. Mothers, is this what your family looks like? Just
like hit them where it hurts.
Vote with your wallet.
Because otherwise, you know what they did on Twitter. They sent me a message. They not a private message, just a public one. They replied after I tweeted like 30 times to them and their parent company, Kraft Foods, and they said, "DM us and let's chat. We're sorry we can't make commercials that appeal to everyone. Like, DM us and let's chat." So
did that end up
immediately I said no because I don't want to DM them and say, "Well, you told me to contact you." You know where to find me. The article's up on the website. My email address is here. If you give a shit, look it up and and get in contact with me. Email me. Make me feel special. Make fathers feel special. That was the whole idea of what we were saying in this article, was that you're making fathers look like idiots, and now you want me to chase you even more so you can offer me like a 20% off coupon for more
to silence you
or something. Yeah,
basically
exactly.
To silence you.
So it's like, no thanks. Come after us in the correct way.
Like Huggies
did.
Like
Huggies did. Huggies took the time to look up everyone's information, get in contact with them, email
and
them,
spend time with us on the phone.
Yeah, these guys, Oscar Mayer, they just want to shut you up. They just want to, say, look, come after us further, and then we'll, offer you something great. Like, no thanks.
Now, you joked at the beginning of the show that you wonder if I ever actually go to your website and read your stuff. And the irony is that because you've become so good at being a evangelist of sorts for this sort of bad advertising, or critic is really the better word, I do find out about these things from reading your stuff.
Yeah.
And I do appreciate that you're doing it. And I think you and others that are noting this stuff, we're making a difference.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, in the short time that I've been a dad blogger or a dad advocate, the changes are remarkable in just 3-4 years.
Yeah.
Like the Volkswagen commercial. Now, and in fact, I am more now stunned at the negative ones, like the Oscar Mayer. Now, I'm going, are you living under a rock?
Yeah, who are you?
How do you not know even just the demographics? And ironically, even more so with Oscar Mayer. All the joking we did in the beginning about hot dogs, who does man the grill, so to speak?
Exactly. I mean,
okay, there's a stereotype that actually you could use, but use it positively.
The way that they did in the Powers Out commercial. The dad comes in, sees his family's ignoring him, so he cuts the power to the house.
I like that.
Goes to the grill.
Yeah.
Grills up hot dogs, and some kid runs out, like one of his kids runs out and says, "Dad, what happened to the power?" And he's like, "Power's out. Want a hot dog?" I mean, like that works, and the dad doesn't look stupid, even though at the end of the commercial the kid, finds out his ploy to get the family out there. It's not a negative commercial that features a dad even as the butt of a joke. And the irony so bad on this one.
Yeah, it's so that I actually find in the short number of years that I've been doing this that I'm now more surprised at that than the good. So when a VW commercial does what it does, I'm going, wow, that's the way it is. Yeah. And that is the power of how much of social media, the speed with which communication now happens. I mean, Egypt loves Twitter and Facebook because they believe it was responsible for overthrowing their government. So that's the power of and the speed with which things happen on a bigger, more macro level. But for Madison Avenue and for that particular advertising company to not get it, it's like literally, are they such old school? I mean, I would even think that the women in the agency would have said, no, this is not how we do dads anymore.
Yeah,
hello?
Exactly. Or this is not how we want the mom to look. I mean, the mom looks like she's a shrew.
It was a total failure.
And they actually debuted that commercial during Modern Family. So that was interesting. They debuted all three of them, I guess, is what their press.
Well, speaking of Modern Family, I don't know if you guys want to go there, but I wrote.
You said a post recently.
I did a post.
Let's go there.
Called "Is GLEE Gay?" And I compare and contrast Modern Family with GLEE. And coming from Hollywood, I have a 25-year former career as a television producer, which I didn't mention in the introduction, which is, by the way, very interesting.
We're going to save that to the end.
That I don't talk about my former career because I'm so charged and excited by what I'm doing now. that I don't rely on the credits and credentials
cheap
from
tricks
what I used to do. It's very interesting,
bringing
actually.
the Ewoks to TV.
Yeah, it's. I did do that. Great story. You really want a story. You asked me to tell that story. What happened with the Ewok movie? It is one of my best stories. I have a handful of real good ones. That's one of my favorites.
We got Star Wars in the house.
Bruce
Come on.
Sallan golden moment.
But anyway, the is GLEE Gay is really not about specifically the column is not about the gayness, of the show. It's more about how Hollywood is portraying sexuality among our kids, and in the case of GLEE, promiscuity among our kids, whether they're gay or not.
Well, it makes for good drama, you know.
Well, I think it's, some people think they're doing it for ratings, and I think that if they were doing it for ratings, they actually would do the opposite. They would show a little bit more even-handed approach, because the majority of Americans are not supportive of the alternate lifestyles that are being portrayed so prominently in GLEE. If it was portrayed in balance, as I believe it is in Modern Family, the thing I love about the gay dads in Modern Family is they are just like the other couples. They bicker, they get along, they make good decisions, they make bad decisions, they just happen to be gay. Instead of wearing a halo over their head like Newsweek just put on our president and called him the gay president, which is just, talk about shameless effort to get an audience. Modern Family is doing a gay agenda, if you will, in a very respectful way.
I think so, too.
In a way, I look at those guys, I laugh with them, I can laugh at them, I'm not afraid to, because there's nothing homophobic about how they portray their failures, because gay dads, lesbian moms are no different than straight moms and dads. We do things well. We make mistakes. In GLEE, however, there appears to be a greater effort to promote the creator and writer's agenda. It's a small town high school, and the level of sexuality and promiscuity portrayed by these 20-something actors, because the majority of them are 10 years older than the characters they're playing, to me is just almost shameful, and I think it's why the ratings have actually decreased for GLEE. I also thought what was really remarkable, I got a lot of comments on that column, and I really expected more blowback. I got much more agreement than I ever expected. I like blowback because blowback means more hits. Blowback means more views. So I almost was going to go undercover as a politically correct person and post a comment calling me a total jerk and a homophobe. And that ironically hasn't happened. I got one tweet. One tweet, somebody said something, called me names. And I almost wanted to write the guy and say, why don't you go in greater detail, please, in a comment on the blog itself?
Can you expand upon your
please. I'm not sure how you really feel about me. So anyway, that's just another area that I'm not. Hollywood in general, to me, having been there, there is often an agenda, very much often a political agenda. And if Hollywood really cared, and the idea that most people think Hollywood cares about ratings or box office, if Hollywood really cared about box office, they wouldn't make R-rated movies, because it's been proven without a doubt, with rare exception, that the average R-rated movie performs much less well than PG and PG-13 films. I mean, significantly so.
Or G.
Or G. I mean, but G is
not
kind of...
Not orgy, but G.
Yeah.
Orgy.
Not the orgy movies.
Yes, indeed. There was a book, Hollywood versus America, written by Michael Medved, who's conservative, but nonetheless, he knows Hollywood well, has been a film critic for 20-some years, and he statistically proves that R-rated movies underperform. But filmmakers like to be able to swear, to show nudity, because they think that is being cutting edge. And the same thing goes on with GLEE. I think the irony is they're not being cutting edge. Modern Family is being cutting edge in not making it, not screaming out their agenda.
Showing normalcy of it.
And therefore the failings and the failures of the gay couple just as much as their successes. I mean, there's a promo for the current show in which, I forget the character's name, but the bigger of the two guys screams, "We're having a baby!"
Cameron, yeah.
Cameron, right. And it's like, I looked at that, I went, that's so cool.
Yeah.
It's just like any mom might do it, or a dad. And he did it in his big, over-the-top Cameron way. But who cares? That's the character.
Yeah.
And so to me, Modern Family is doing it all right, and GLEE is doing it all with an agenda. Now, granted, the musical numbers tend to be really fun to watch. And the irony is the last 2 episodes, which aired back to back, focused on them competing in the Nationals. And all it did, I didn't like the choice of music, but because they were focusing on the Nationals and winning and all the competition, they tended not to do the stories that they did, and they just showed the winning and losing, with the exception of that one character, Unique, who's a, I don't know, transsexual, transgender young man dressed as a woman. I'm not quite sure what that's all about, but wonderfully talented. But other than that, there was no agenda in the 2 shows, and they probably did really well. And I enjoyed them because I stopped watching for a while. A lot of people I know have stopped because they got really sick of the agendas that were there.
I stopped right after they started really pushing. It's like I'm like of anyone, I'm like the least homophobic person out there.
Clearly,
but yeah, I can't even say it. I'm so worked up. But
I'm talking about your. You lived in the gay dorm too.
I lived in the gay dorm. I met a lot of great, fun gay people. But it's like I just wasn't. You could feel it in the show when you were watching. Like it wasn't like they were. It wasn't that they were doing something natural and just kind of putting in. It's like obviously they have a panel of kids in that show that represent all different racial groups, and they have like the handicapped kid, the black girl, the Asian girl. It's like they got everyone.
They got the whole Sesame Street variant.
Yeah, they had to have a gay character, and that's great because that's anytime that you can put that on TV and show the world this relatively new idea that there are gay high school kids. That's great. It's gonna give a gay kid in high school something to look after and say, okay, good, I'm normal. But the way that they put it out there was so heavy-handed that it ended up being a turnoff for what we can expect to be a lot of viewers, including me.
Question.
I mean,
there's no question. I stopped watching, though I came back because it was one of the things I did with my younger son. Mm-hmm. And I came back just to renew that connection. Mm-hmm. And I think the thing that turned me off was the relationship between Santana and Brittany. Mm-hmm. These were 2 clearly, in my opinion, up to that point, very straight girls that ended up deciding to be in love with each other.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
And that just to me was an obvious, having Kurt be gay and having him get involved with Blaine, that was beautiful. I mean, it was cool. Having the football player turn out to be gay, which was another storyline, felt really forced.
Yeah.
But when they did Brittany and Santana and do it so overtly, it was overrepresentation to such a degree. Now, I have no problem when they do a whole show that is, say, like the L Word. Isn't that the show about gay women? Right.
Yeah,
okay. That show is clearly a segment, so there's nothing wrong. But they're trying to portray this high school in Glee, which is supposed to be a normal high school, not a slice of community. I mean, a slice of society. A one group as being representative of all. And again, I think that's over.
Yeah, and they're just really like heavy handing it. I mean, they had the part where I think Kurt's the gay kid, right? Where he had originally come out to his dad. His dad was the dude that's in like the DirecTV commercials or something.
The dad was, and he's of course he's the blue collar guy who works on cars. Yeah. So he's going to be the typical guy who's not going to understand gayness.
The typical bigot,
right? Because blue collar people are more bigoted than the elite.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, that's ironic that they choose to portray him as that to begin with.
Well, it's the shock value, I think. Like, oh my God, he's so manly, he must be straight.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Talk about a stereotype.
And they got to do the whole like, well, why don't you ever work on cars with me, son?
Right.
Because I'm not interested in that. Why don't you ever? I mean,
and as if the dad would not have observed Kurt's behavior. Just his dress alone throughout the show is, again, so ridiculous.
Well, yeah, and there's there's kind of you see like we spend a lot of time on Reddit, kind of just reading stuff that people say, and there's definitely some kids who come out to their parents and it's a surprise, but there are a lot of people that you see who come out to their parents or planning on coming out to their parents, and their parents know and they say, look, we knew, we just wanted to wait until you like were ready to tell us. And so there's I can't personally say what the normalcy of gay relation with your parents is, but like I wonder about it. I don't know what the norm is, so I wonder. That's all. I wonder what the representation on television would be.
Zach's wondering. All right.
I wonder.
Well,
I think sometimes.
the real question to ask yourself is, how will you react if your child either appears to be gay or, when they're old enough, declares it? And I've already thought about that, because one of my kids loved Barbie dolls when he was very little, and has continued to display some what would be called stereotypical interest. I mean, he loves musicals and is currently acting, and he goes around the house singing from whatever musical they're currently doing at school or that he's currently watched. And so, I do wonder, well, is he or is he not? Or will he turn out to be? And I've already made peace with the fact that there's no doubt I'm going to love him exactly the same. My only, call it a stereotype or prejudice, I just think that his life may be a little bit more difficult if he's gay. Some of the choices, some of the options may be more difficult. Will he have any less of a love from me, any difference in inheritance or anything like that? Absolutely not.
I think you said on your article, you said you'd if your kids came out to you and told you that they were gay, you'd love them all the same. If they were bad people, though,
right?
Then that's
Thank
when
you.
you'd
Thank you. You actually read my stuff. That's very impressive. Yes, I'd be more upset if they were not a good person than if they were gay.
And that's gay, straight, or whatever, black, white, or whatever. Your badness is what you should be judged on, not your.
Well, something. Taking that idea, most parents, if asked, what would you want most for your kids? To be happy, successful, or good? Most will answer happy.
Successful.
Most will say happy. Okay, you said successful. What would you have said if I had previewed the correct answer?
Well,
what would you prefer your son to be? Happy, successful, or good?
I would make sure that he would be happy.
Okay, that's the common response. And, of course, it's not a wrong response, because who wouldn't want their kid to be happy? But you could be happy and evil.
That's true. Well, just demented, I guess.
Yeah, you could be happy and not be a kind person. You could be happy and not be a giving person.
There are a lot of people that are like that.
If you really, really think about it, I think what we all would really want is our kids to be good people,
successful,
and then following that, happy, successful.
You can buy happiness.
Yeah, you do.
I don't think you can
totally do it.
I think you choose happiness.
Have you seen a Ferrari? Oh, yeah. I've sat in a Ferrari.
Yes, but it won't make you happy 2 weeks later. It'll make you happy the first week or two.
True.
You just get another Ferrari.
You get used to it.
Well, then you get another Ferrari. And
okay, the evidence that success doesn't buy happiness is successful people. Look at all the miserable people that are rich and famous that are miserable. Look at any great star's biography. Mm-hmm. That you think they had it all or have it all, and you find out all the misery. Look at the people that are rich and famous that commit suicide.
Well, in all honesty, this is why we do what we do, is because we're good people. We're not trying to make, we're trying to be successful in our I guess message, but we don't really care about, look around, this is I don't care. It's like I don't care about possessions.
Do you think it's time for a group hug?
Maybe.
I think so. I think it's time for a group hug.
All right, Bruce. Oh. So you can contact us
and show out.
But yeah, we're pushing an hour, but an
important hour.
Yeah, an important hour. We kind of did free form. It's like this is a special episode with Bruce here. But let's close it out, and we can kind of continue and see how far the tape runs.
We had Matt Pergeroy, who's another father.
Real Mad Dad.
Real Mad Daddy, yeah.
Real Mad Daddy.
He just replied to us on Google Hangout or somewhere. I don't know. I just got an email about it.
Oh.
But he said, Glee is so gay. Thanks for your honest look at the difference between the two shows, Bruce.
Oh, thank
you,
Matt.
Go.
Someone's listening.
Yes.
Oh, very cool.
We did it.
I knew having a guest on would double our audience from 1 to
2. So it's your mom and Matt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, exactly. His wife and...
My wife. Yeah, my wife and...
Matt.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, you can contact us and suggest stories by emailing us at dads@8bitdad.com, or you can learn how to become a writer, not just a writer, but a writer for our website, by emailing us at contributes@8bitdad.com.
And you can like us on Facebook, and that's facebook.com/8bitdad.
Oh, and be sure to follow us on Twitter, which is twitter.com/8bitdads.
And you can repin our shit on Pinterest, pinterest.com/8bitdads.
8 being the number.
Yes.
Not anything else.
Not 8. Not I ate a giant muffin. You can also hang out with us on Google Plus, which is gplus.to/8bitdad. And so that's it for this week's episode of 8-Bit Dad. I'm Brian Ferguson.
And I'm Zach Rosenberg.
And I'm Mr. Dad Chat. There you go. Like my
Bruce Sallan, Mr. Dad Chat.
At Bruce Sallan. What other websites you got?
BruceSallan.com.
BruceSallan.com, and I do have a Facebook page, the A Dad Point of View Facebook page, where we have about 4,000 likes from around the world.
And Guy Kawasaki on.
Yeah.
That was very cool. Come to Dad Chat every Thursday, 6 to 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
That's a rough one. That's under my. That's like my.
I know you don't come very often, but it's nice when you do.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've seen you there.
I haven't
Brian.
been. That's
commute
my
time
commute
also.
time too. I leave work at 6. All right. Well,
Stay at
anyways,
work. Stay at work one night. You know.
We're gonna keep working. Well, thank you very much, Bruce, for being here. It's a great, just a great.
8-Bit Dad, remember that. 8.
Oh yeah.
Like the number.
I don't know. We don't do gang signs.
The lifestyle.
We'll work on that.
I think we need T-shirts, and you guys got to get hats.
Yeah, we need a hat.
Yeah,
We got the mugs, but that's.